I'm working on simulating over 1 million procedural NPCs that populate my procedural city, and today I'm finally done with the basic schedules that all of my characters follow. I have already described the plan for the simulation in my previous devlogs, but today I'd like to demonstrate how it works in its finished state. Now, of course, I will still be tweaking and improving things, so this is just the implementation of that initial plan. Also, I have to mention again that the NPC models are currently placeholders, and they won't remain low poly for much longer, as I will be starting to work on the detailed models soon. And as always, a shout out to my patrons on Patreon who help me keep the development going. And if you'd like to join them, check out the link in the description. So let's follow this NPC with a very appropriate name for a stalking target, who works night shifts at a cafe by the river and goes home in the morning. In the meantime, I'll explain a few things about the final challenges of this simulation. We will track the character's path on the map and real-world time to see how far we've gone and how long it's taken. This journey took quite a while, as you will see, so I will speed up and cut some sections. First of all, you may notice that the character doesn't move linearly from A to B and backtracks a lot. This is because it is tracking a moving anchor position that is calculated on the GPU and may not fall on a walkable path all the time. I'm still not quite sure what to do about this, and all of the environment is dynamic, so I can't really pre-compute any paths or nav mesh segments, so the optimal calculated path changes as the character moves through the world. This is why I can't eliminate backtracking completely. I could update the anchor position less frequently so the NPC doesn't change direction so often, or I could give my character some idle animations or interactions with the environment to make it look like they are stopping on purpose when they don't know where to go. You know how sometimes you realize you're going the wrong way and you feel like you gotta pull out your phone or sit down on a bench before changing directions because simply turning around in the middle of the street feels kinda awkward? Or is it just me? Anyway, a key improvement I made since the last devlog is making sure that all NPCs that are at work or at home will be assigned to the correct type of interior. This was an extra challenge because the interior types are random, which means that an NPC that is supposed to be at home may not have any residential interior types in its vicinity. So I had to modify the interior type generation code to make sure there will always be both residential and non-residential interiors in a given block. How do I do this? By adding a flag to each building that determines whether its ground floor is residential or not, and making the top floor of the building the opposite of that. Meaning, if the flag is true, the ground floor will be an apartment and the top floor will be a non-residential space. And vice versa, if the flag is false, then the ground floor will be non-residential and the top floor residential. That way, every building with more than one floor will always have both types of interiors in it. Now, it is pretty weird to have an apartment on the ground floor of a tall building that everybody just walks through to reach the elevator, but Vantra City is a weird place, so I think this is fine. I've also finally implemented the phase transitions that I talked about previously, where a character that switches from a transit behavior like going to work to a static behavior, for example at work, won't just instantly teleport to its work location, but will actually walk to the right building and take the elevator to the floor that they were assigned. This was also more challenging than I expected because I had to use Unreal Engine's behavior system, which is pretty different from the normal blueprint programming that I've been doing up until now. But I think I got the hang of it now. Although some people in the comments have pointed out that I should be using state trees instead of behavior trees, so I guess I have to learn that too. I've also updated the NPC label to signal that they are in the middle of a transition, so you'll see NPCs who are late for work or coming home late. This means their GPU calculated phase has flipped to static, but they haven't reached their destination yet. And by the way, the NPC labels above their head are mostly for debug and demonstration purposes. In the final game, you will have to actually talk to a character to find out their name or where they're going. The problem you will see throughout this character's journey though is that if an NPC falls far enough behind their anchor target, their phase will eventually change to the static one, while they are still quite far off their assigned building. The way the behavior works right now is that they will still continue walking towards it and eventually reach it, but it might take them a while. And if you as the player walk far enough from this NPC and then try to find them, you won't be able to, because according to the GPU, they should already be at their static location, which they never reached as far as you're concerned. Of course, the further away the NPC's work and home locations are, the more likely this is to happen. And this is a problem I still have to tackle as well. Maybe by reducing the NPC commute speed to make it easier for the AI to catch up, or maybe by making them walk faster or take a taxi if they're too far from their target. I've also had to tweak the street graph pathfinding to only work for the NPCs closest to the player, as graph navigation is expensive and the Pathfinder gets overloaded if too many NPCs try to calculate their paths at the same time. Now, that doesn't mean that the NPCs further away can't move. They can still walk on the dynamic nav mesh, which mostly works fine, but sometimes has trouble navigating around large obstacles such as ponds or rivers. So some NPCs in the distance may occasionally appear stuck, but they will find their way if you approach them. There are a lot of other improvements still to be made to the NPC behaviors, but I decided that I want to start working on the final models to replace these slow poly placeholders first, before I continue improving their AI. I don't know yet which system I will use for my final NPC looks, as I need to experiment with a few different ones to see which one fits best, but I will update you guys on my progress, so stay tuned. Then, once I have the final models, I'll be able to implement animations and object interactions for a richer and more believable crowd behavior. Well, it looks like we have finally arrived. It was a long and frankly very boring journey, so I wouldn't recommend actually doing it in the game, and I definitely need to implement better ways to find out where a particular NPC lives or works. But that's all for now. Stay creative!